From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. President Bush said today he is now turning his attention to peace in the Middle East, and he wants to move fast. In Iraq and Kuwait, the war doesn't go away so quickly. 2 more Americans have died as the result of mines. The overall U.S. death toll is now 89, 10 more than the military reported yesterday. U.S. commanders are still finding more Scud missiles in Iraq. And in Kuwait City today, as the U.S. ambassador returns, further stories of life under Iraqi occupation. ABC's Jim Hickey is there.
The new American ambassador raised the flag over the U.S. Embassy, the same flag that his predecessor, Nathaniel Howell, had carried out of the country when the embassy was vacated. Outside the embassy compound, another American flag, this one waved by Kuwaitis, their pro-American demonstrations intensifying by the day. But as their love of Americans increases,
Thank you.
So does their hatred of Iraqis as stories of torture and murder become more and more public. 3 Iraqi soldiers today were captured at a roadblock manned by the Kuwaiti resistance. The Kuwaitis had to protect the soldiers from an angry crowd. Saddam is my shoe, this woman shouts. In the Arab culture, it is a terrible insult. In a nearby hospital, some of the reasons for the woman's outburst. Kuwaiti citizens lie wounded after what they said was torture by the Iraqi army. In the streets, they are talking freely about the torture now, but it is impossible to verify the extent of it. This man claims the Iraqis tried to poison him and others.
Whenever they tell them that they want water, they close their nose and they give them a liquid. Sometimes they find out it's kerosene, sometimes they find it's motor gasoline.
Another man says they wrapped wires around his fingers and sent jolts of electricity through him. The freedom celebration is a release from all that suffering and fear.
It was the worst nightmare. It was 7 months of nightmare. You go out of your house, you don't know if you're going to come back alive.
Many didn't. In this cemetery on the outskirts of Kuwait City are fresh graves. People like Yosef Abdullah have only recently buried relatives they found dead in a morgue or hospital.
Both his eyes were removed. His fingers were cut. And he had been tortured with electric shocks.
The new graves now serve as an eternal reminder of what has happened here over the past 7 months. And most Kuwaitis do not want Saddam Hussein to get away with what he has done to their country or its people. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Kuwait.
There is another graveyard near Kuwait City. It is the highway out of Kuwait into Iraq. It was to be the escape route for thousands of Iraqi soldiers. Here's ABC's Linda Patillo.
This is how the Iraqi army's flight from Kuwait City ended. The devastation stretches across a 4-lane highway for nearly a mile and a half. When their escape route north was blocked by a brigade of Allied tanks, the Iraqis panicked, creating a massive traffic jam. They were hit where they stood, first by U.S. bombs, then by tanks. The battle between Tiger Brigade and the fleeing Iraqis only lasted an hour. The Iraqis never hit one U.S. tank. General, what went through your mind when you saw this destruction, the Iraqi tanks?
The total horror of war. It just showed the awesome firepower of what the U.S. forces, the coalition forces, put against this guy when he started to run.
The remains of the battle tell the story. Iraqi soldiers trying to escape on foot killed as they fled. The engines of many of the vehicles still running 48 hours later. And the spoils they were trying to take with them scattered everywhere.
I mean, they were taking anything that seemed to be of value. It's amazing. It really is. These guys were raping this country.
Amid the tanks and artillery, hundreds of stolen cars filled with stolen goods. Inside ambulances, piles of weapons. No one knows how many Iraqis were killed here, only a few hundred yards from this monument to Saddam Hussein. Linda Patillo, ABC News, with the 2nd Marine Division in Kuwait.
The military says there have been a number of ceasefire violations since yesterday, most of them apparently initiated by Iraqi troops who had not learned of the truce. In one case, Iraqi soldiers fleeing Kuwait City on a bus opened fire on U.S. soldiers at an Allied checkpoint. 6 Iraqis were killed and 9 were taken prisoner. In another incident, 2 U.S. soldiers died. Here's ABC's Bill Rediker.
There is no battle on the battlefield, but it is still a dangerous place. American soldiers are dying because of their curiosity about Iraqi landmines and bunkers.
You will not go in any bunker anywhere around here at all. Don't even think about going in there. 8th Marines had some Marines killed yesterday, as well as wounded, souvenir hunting and all. So stay out of them.
Many of the bunkers are blown up to destroy live ammunition and weapons. But landmines present a more sinister threat. Though some can be seen, most are buried. Iraq reportedly laced the desert with more than 500,000 mines as a defensive barrier. Today, 2 American military doctors became victims.
2 doctors and a driver saw some Iraqis that were apparently surrendering, and in an attempt to get over there, they hit a mine, killing one of the doctors, and when the second one got out of the vehicle, they hit another mine also.
Iraqi troops also have become victims. This soldier accidentally stepped on one of his own mines. Central Command today said the number of Iraqi casualties is enormous, but said an exact number will never be known. Bill Rediker, ABC News, Saudi Arabia.
More U.S. reserves were called up today, nearly 2,000 of them, all from the Navy. They are from units that deal with things like cargo, transportation, medical care, and law enforcement. When we come back, the president to Saddam Hussein, do the right thing, release the POWs. In the other news tonight, California, 5 years since the drought began, and a lot of people still don't believe there's a problem. And on this Friday...